2 more panelists joining us. Okay. Hey. Okay. And let's see. Okay. So here we go. 6 of us here. All right. I think we can begin. So it's nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Danny. I'm one of the co-founders of SciTech VR, and today I was invited to host this roundtable panel. So I think about like 6 months ago, I was joining the GatherVerse as the speaker. Now I'm glad to host this great roundtable panel. In this particular session, we'll be exploring how AI, sometimes generative AI, is reshaping the landscape of virtual environments. Everything from enhancing functionality to adapting to user behavior. And so for every visitor, we got a wonderful team today here. So to kick the things off, I'd like to open the floor for you so you can introduce yourselves. Let's start from you. Lizzie, would you like to start? Okay. Can you say something? I'm not sure we can hear you. Oh, okay. So, Lizzie, I think something happened with your mic. If you can check it. So, yeah, we don't hear you. Okay, Liam, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Liam Broza. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Infinite Reality, and I work on building virtual worlds on the web and populating them with embodied agents, virtual characters.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Liam, just so our kind of auditory can understand, if we compare your company with things like spatial IO and such platforms, how can we differentiate it? Can you help us learn?
Sure. So the two things that really make us unique is one, we are extremely focused on the web. So we build our own web game engine. Unlike Spatial, who uses Unity, we build our own kind of game engine built for the web. And we build a whole host of unique features and technologies on top of that web platform. So we have voice and video baked in, multiplayer baked in, AI for generative and conversational, really built as first class features in the system, which really sets us apart from other game engines and other platforms. So think of it as like being able to have Roblox on any website. Just sign up at ir.world and go. So
Sounds great.
That's what we kind of help with.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the roundtable, I've got a few targeted questions for you. We'll have them later. Now, thanks for your introduction, and let's meet Claire. Claire, help us learn more about yourself.
Hey, it's really nice to talk to you, and thanks for inviting me. I'm Claire Weingarten, the founder of Living Machines Media, and I'm a consultant who works with creators and businesses to launch experiences that engage with audiences. My background is in film and TV. So now I'm helping to bring this new kind of immersive media to audiences.
Very interesting. How is the life of consultants? So you see that like year to years, it's becoming better in terms of consulting auditors regarding the VR and AI?
It's really interesting. I mean, you see sort of ebbs and flows and changes in, what people are trying to do with this technology. So right now, I'm working with a lot of creative studios and experiential agencies using VR, AR, and AI to engage with audiences and tell stories. I've seen a shift away sort of from virtual worlds, which is what we're talking about today, which people, the companies I'm working with are not engaging with as much anymore. But that's certainly, part of the ecosystem of what's out there.
Great. Okay, thanks for sharing. Lizzie, can we double check your mic is working?
We're back, baby. We're back.
Sounds great. Okay, please let us know about yourself.
Well, I'm a publicist and I've been in the space for nearly 10 years now. And it's been crazy to see how things have grown, moved, shifted, direction going one way, all of a sudden the other way. And it's just really exciting to turn on a new audience to something that we've been kind of sitting on for a long time. So just like Claire was saying, it's really, it's an interesting perspective to try to get a new audience to experience things that we already know about. And it's just, it's a lot, because there are people out there that truly do not understand what's going on. Like, our daily lives is like mush to some people, and it's a lot of our jobs to create that bridge. And it's exciting.
Interesting. Lizzie, while you're talking, the Michelle in comments saying that she's looking for your website. So yeah, we already got some people interested. Great.
Well, the thing is, I'm no longer PR sharks. I've developed into another creature where I'm no longer in the sea, but that's neither here nor there. In any case, I've been doing a lot of work with a large Hollywood agency, and they're tracking their management in a way where they could use some of the client's likeness in AI. So I've been branching out into different segments. So I'm not necessarily just a publicist anymore. So I kind of evolved out of the shark. The shark is now on land.
Okay. No, thanks. Thanks. This is great. Okay. Kaldeep, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, I'm Kuldeep.
Kuldeep. I'm sorry. Okay.
No problem. So I'm here from joining you from India.
Great.
And I'm head of XR practice at ThoughtWorks, primarily setting up incubation centers or center of excellences for emerging technologies, including XR. Recently, I have written a book on exploring metaverse, which is talking about use cases, what exactly metaverse is, how it is close to the next internet, what all even AI powered metaverse, what it would mean to us, and all the concerning parts of it, how it would, along with all the use cases we are talking, how it would really be, we have to be careful about it, and what could be the steps forward.
Interesting. Okay, everyone check comments. In the comments, we're going to have a link to the book of the Kaldeep. Thank you. Vayoma, am I also pronouncing your name right? You might be
Sorry, I
muted.
was on mute. Yes. Hi, it's Vyoma. Hi, everyone. I'm Vyoma. I am an AI technical solution architect with IBM, and I am here in sunny California. And glad to be here. And I work a lot on Gen AI technologies and how to implement them. I'm specifically involved in productionizing AI governance across different clients.
Great. Okay. So probably we'll hear some stories about like enterprise and the AI, generative AI and the VR today. I also have some targeting questions for you later. So I think it's the right time to begin. So before we start, let me actually tell you my experience of using the VR and generative AI. So at Cytec VR, we created the VR exposure therapy. So maybe some of you have ever experienced the therapy. Exposure therapy is a method of dealing with different forms of anxieties, like phobias, OCD, PTSD, and such. And everyone was talking about like how to implement the AI in terms of the practitioners, therapists. So some people were saying like data, some people were saying like taking notes during the session, but we decided to go in a more creative way, and we developed the generative AI, which can help the therapist create any exposure world in the VR. So the problem which we face is that there are a lot of platforms exist on this market, but none of these platforms is giving the therapist a tool which can help to find the tailored, personalized experience, exposure experience for the clients. So this is what we do at Cytec VR. This is also why I was invited to host this panel. Let's switch the slides and Lisa, so let's start from you. So I'd like to start with a fundamental question. So how does AI enhance the functionality and user experience within virtual worlds. So Lizzie, with your extensive background in XR, how have you seen AI shift the landscape in your work?
Well, that's a loaded question because it's really kind of changed everything and thrown a wrench into the whole system, which is cool, which is cool. It's fantastic that we're seeing this element that we hadn't really thought about come into VR. But I mean, AI enhances everything. So of course it's going to enhance the experience. Now that just opens up like a whole can of worms, and that's where we're living right now. We're living in that can of worms. What happens with the uncanny valley? What happens when you interact too much? What happens when things get too real? So the functionality, we have yet to see what happens with that functionality. And it's really exciting because at the end of the day, it's a machine that comes from us. It's not some like outside force. It has to start somewhere. So seeing how it evolves will determine what we do with this tool. But enhancing, beyond like VR and virtual worlds, we're just crawling in the dark until AI came along. And now we're on a steady track leading us to who knows where. We're there right now. We're going to figure it out. But it is totally the secret sauce to virtual worlds.
Agreed. And everything is developing so fast. For example, like a year ago, my clients, they were so amazed by the option of creating virtual worlds with photos. And now I have people which just know a little bit of the chat GPT, and they are already asking me, oh, and how about making such worlds in a video way? How about making such worlds in a 3D way? So it's developing so fast. And and it's also creating new jobs. I see that in the comments, Luca is helping us, creating new jobs. I think we all agree on it. So we can't talk about the AI without addressing the ethical things. Vyoma, as someone deeply involved in AI, in IBM, so what do you see as the key ethical considerations when integrating the AI into the virtual worlds?
Yeah. So some of the things that I really push forward to all the clients and people in the industry is you need a governance platform or some sort of metrics that you have defined before you productionize any of these generative AI language models, or be it VR, or be it any image models as well. So you have to make sure there are specific acts, regulations, rules, and metrics that are 100% checked before it goes into being. So slowly, every state and city is coming up with their own regulations. But some of the things that I see is make sure that your model and the results that are being spitted out are fair, they are unbiased, they are not hallucinating or giving you information that makes no sense. And also, there are a lot of other complexities which can arise when you're productionizing something. Let's say you let a language model or any image model just go on or go off a fence without having to check the results every 3 months, 2 months, or however it be. So make sure you have some sort of human in the loop before automating the entire process.
Okay. When you said about the complexity, and when I was preparing for this event, I was thinking about one particular question for you. So how do we ensure the transparency and accountability in these virtual spaces?
Yeah, great question. So transparency is in the form, like many different like clients and many different companies are doing that as well. Like any language model or any image model that has been created, be transparent about the kind of data set that has been used. Make sure that you are showcasing that information before you go any further. So make sure that you have some sort of uh, an online tool or a curated kit that, hey, this was the data set that was used, these are the metrics that we validated it against, and make it more open, make it very trusting, and make sure that you are complying to the rules that are being put out there. If there aren't any rules, make sure you, as an internal team or internal company, come up with these policies, mandates for yourself so that others can actually benefit from that.
Okay, this makes sense. Everyone, we have an open mic, so if someone want to add something on top of it, just feel free to enter. But Kuldeep, I have a question particularly for you. So let me switch to the next slide. So AI's ability to tailor experiences to individuals is one of the most powerful features of the AI. So you've been at the forefront of emerging tech solutions, as you explained with this XR Labs. So how do you envision the AI-driven virtual worlds adapting to individual user preferences?
Yeah, so there are a number of experiments we have done at our lab, and while designing experiences or building practices around user experience design itself, be it a device like when Vision Pro came in, the new set of practices or design principles are emerged. And there are a couple of years already into, for example, Quest devices and other. Uh, but with generative AI specifically, uh, so a lot of content can be adjusted according to the how user interact, where user are interacting, and uh, what is the comfort level of users or interest. Based on that, the content would automatically adjust to them. So there is a huge preference also involved, but there is a implicit preference. That's a comfort. Like, even if I don't choose particular whether I'm doing a gaze based interaction or the hand tracking, I can't continuously do hand as well as gaze or any other. Even thought based BCI based interactions are coming, but I can't do one type of interaction all the time. And in normal human interaction, we don't do just one interaction. You see, my hand are telling something, my eyes are telling something. So there are multiple interactions methodologies. Virtual world also need to adapt that. And
Okay.
I feel AI would really fill that gap to make it more realistic, more natural.
Well, that's
Yeah.
when things are going to get crazy, because that's like, Google ads on crack. So, not only will the AI anticipate your behaviors and your preferences, you're going to be molded into, a culture, into a virtual world. So that's really where the ethics and the user understanding the technology is going to make a difference. I mean, if you're having problems right now with your phone and spam and all that, that's only the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get to the point where you can't even tell like a bot from like someone that's actually a friend or someone that you know online. So that's when we get into that, that's when it's really going to be fun.
Agreed. Okay.
Yeah, even irony is AI would understand human much better than human understand themselves. There are a lot of expression AI would be able to detect whether I am liking particular brand or not, whether I will buy this product or not. AI would know exactly, but human would not know. And other parties, I would not know what AI knows.
Okay.
That's even worst part of it. But yeah,
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, cool. So because you said that you are the head of the XR practice, so I know that there are a lot of people watching us. Can you recommend some instruments that you're using in the labs and in your XR practice regarding works creation? Have you got any recommendations about the latest technologies and platforms?
Still exploring. I haven't find the thing which I am expecting, but there are many like Meshi, etc. The Meshi produce text to 3D mesh. We used it extensively, but there are many, but still at experimental stage. When it comes to the real immersive experience, if AI based content can give, that's a still, I think, still far.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, thanks. Liam, so it's time to talk about the infinity reality and your experience. So I've been to your website. been checking something, was preparing for some questions. So how do you see the AI contributing to the creation of this dynamic and responsive virtual environments?
So there's so much you can do in AI, and we're really we have a long list of things we want to do, but we're really focused on two things right now. One is generative worlds, building large-scale virtual worlds in a mixture of using LLMs like conversational interfaces, procedural generation, which is like Diablo 2 roguelites, No Man's Sky, and mixing generative AI, like Meshi was just mentioned, right? Text to image, text to 3D model. There's images to 3D model, video to 3D model, scanning in. There's all so we've been focused on that virtual world part where I can say like, give me a store in a sun-swept scape and fill it with all my products. And a series of AI tools can break that problem down and build you your world using a combination of LLMs and RAGs, what they're called, procedural tooling and generative tooling. And that's a really incredible opportunity. Like right now, virtual, we just talked about how Claire talked about how people are moving away from virtual worlds. Well, why? Because they're really expensive to make. To actually make engaging content and make big worlds is really, really hard. It's the hardest part of content creation is 3D world creation. And just making the scene is hard. Like filling it with content so it's not a walking simulator, that's extremely difficult. So the other side of that is embodied agents, which is actually like puppeteering an avatar to be able to interact with the world and interact with people and interact with each other. And that's something else we've been focused on, embodied agents, really built on RAGs and LLMs and all sorts of other technology that we've been working hard on. It's been happening inside of game engines in this industry, and the industry, like the game engines were not designed for AI. They were not designed to for the AI to be this first-class citizen walking around and interacting and understanding. So a lot of that is like what we're working on, and that's the frontier of the space. Is really this opportunity to take LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini. We're working very hard with Google, and embody them, make them more human, give them just voices and bodies, let them see. Let them be seen, and really create natural human social interactions that we're evolved for, that are going to be deeper and richer. There's huge ethical questions there, like should this thing have like a safe social distance from you? Like there's people like Replica who are like date it, things like that. These things can be mind parasites. They can be extremely influential and manipulative. As was just said, these things will know you better than yourselves. They're smarter than faster than you. And so, we think very deeply about how to do this very responsibly and open. So, because it is a brave new world we're walking into.
Yeah, just to jump in 1 second, if I may. I think that Liam just spoke to it, and Vioma also alluded to it, which is these ethical problems and, kind of these dangers within AI's use in the virtual world. And the way I see it so much is the kind of issues we face with AI. And then even as Kuldeep said, the issues we face with kind of data tracking and the internet knowing us better than we know ourselves. These are all issues that are involved in the virtual world and kind of are part of the building blocks of the virtual world. So it's taking these, kind of issues to be aware of and knowing that they still exist and they are actually magnified here. And, as ourselves being in virtual worlds, we're susceptible in a certain way that maybe leaning back at our computer monitor, we're more critical thinking. But in these virtual worlds, these same kind of issues exist, and we might be more susceptible to them.
Okay. Accepted. This is great. We got a very cool live chat today. So Luca is a rock star. So he's commenting about a lot of things. So Claire, when you were speaking, so Luca did a very interesting comment about the FIFA. So about the football simulator. I'm as a fan of the soccer. Let's read. So he said that in FIFA, for example, during the game, you experience more realistic things. There's one soccer player from England, the Palmer. So you can run in a FIFA to the pitch and take a picture with the Palmer. So this is a great example of like games which we can say like double, triple A, so like a big things. But me, like I'm a fan of the VR, and I'm primarily working with standalone VR headsets. So I've got a like we're gonna sidetrack a little bit. I have a question for all of you. So what do you think? So we have this Quest 3 and the Quest 3S. I think it's live starting from today. What do you think? So it's limited in terms of the GPU and CPU. Oh, hey. So this headset is limited in terms of GPU and CPU. Have you got any ideas? So when we're gonna have a very accessible VR headset with a great quality of GPU and CPU, which can afford and let us use the generative AI in a full sense. Vilma, feel free.
Yes, as you see, I'm very passionate. First thing, I don't feel the whole GPU, CPU shortage, etc., that we are seeing right now is going to exist for much longer because the strategy around large language models is changing. Bigger is not always better. Everyone was experimenting with generative AI, so they were just leveraging some of these GPUs available outside. Everyone's moving to smaller domain specific models which can do just the job right. No one needs like a huge GPU farm somewhere in Poland or India working for you to kind of give you better results. No, not needed. And you don't want an AI model to give you like 90% accuracy. Clearly, something's going wrong there. So I feel A1, the question that you just asked might be not relevant in a couple of months, to be very specific. The other thing is, I use this thing day in, day out. It's huge. My head pains after a while and I've gotten these knobs as well behind to kind of help me change the headset, etc.
Yeah.
Slowly, I feel everyone's going to move to slimmer, aesthetic, looking better, like VR headsets, which just might be your glasses, right? The glasses might have like a VR thing in it. Why do you need this whole thing? That's what they're working on. They're trying to optimize this. And I see a lot of nods from Liam and Lise. So good that I'm speaking relevant stuff here. So going forward, that will be the way to go. And you might not know, like someone just might create that small, there are so many companies creating these small chips like Grok, etc. Imagine you just might have your own small little GPU lying on your like your spectacles, or like this thing might have that. I really want them to make this less cumbersome. So yeah, that's the future, I feel.
Interesting. Okay. Does anyone want to jump in and to add something?
Yeah, I would say a little birdie has told me that over 50 headsets are coming out in the next 18 months. I think 2025 is going to be a very auspicious year for this industry. I think there's a lot of compounding, like knock-on things. You know, just as she said, it's exactly that. We are about to be a sea change. We joke internally that Quest 3S is the iPhone 4. It's a hell of a lot of spatial computer for $300. I've literally put 3 different Android apps on different walls. Had a phone, like keyboard, mouse, hooked it up to my computer, cloud streams to hell and back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, IR just bought Zappar, and they make something called the Zapbox, which is a very cheap, very, very good spatial computer. That's that is built for billions of people to be able to afford. And some of that happens on device, and some of that happens on the cloud using a bunch of clever compounding tricks and AI and everything else that's about to happen in the next 2 years. I think it's funny that people are sleeping on spatial computing, because I think it's going to hit like an asteroid next year, quite frankly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love the VR and AI talks. And I must admit that we should not forget about the thing that XR cloud computing exists. So such companies and NVIDIA, XR Cloud, Amazon are providing this. So there's a few reliable sources for the VR. Okay, Claire, now it's your personal question. So with your experience in advising creators, you've witnessed the evolution of storytelling through the technology. So how you see machine learning playing a role in evolving narratives. So what do you think
Oh,
about
interesting.
the narratives and the virtual worlds?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. Well, I think one, big element here is the non-playable characters. The fact that right now in video games, for example, that are incredibly, vast world, we're talking about, AAA games, Red Dead Redemption, where you're interacting with dozens and maybe hundreds of different non-playable characters. Right now, they're, kind of spitting out their dozen or hundred pre-programmed lines. But in the future, there's going to be, just massive customization. You'll be able to talk to some of these characters about anything. So in a way, I see narratives like this evolving into more, interactive world, almost choose your own adventure, where there is maybe no resolution to the narrative, almost like a house of yes or something, where you go in and you're engaging in all these scenarios and all these different environments and all these different characters, and there isn't necessarily a beginning, middle, end. So I think AI's use in virtual worlds really and gaming is going to lead to that type of environment. I'll tell you what I've seen in the past. One of the clients I worked with a couple years ago was using AR within virtual worlds for storytelling, and it was sort of a hybrid with an immersive film. So audiences were engaged with this two-dimensional film at almost a drive-in theater, and then they could take certain actions that would influence the film by, say, you could sort of choose to, kind of pick up an axe, or you could choose to hold hands with someone else in there, and that would influence the way this interactive film proceeded. But that was several years ago, and that was really leaning on 2D film technology. So we're seeing, as AI gets more involved, that these narratives are becoming endless. Instead of, if you choose A, B, C, or D happens, it's really possibly the sky's the limit.
Clear. And in terms of the pricing, so we all know that this was a kind of, it was not very affordable for a variety of different companies. Is it becoming more affordable? So can you give us some insights on pricing and like how it's structured? So if someone want to work with, let's say, AI-driven agents within the virtual spaces.
Unfortunately, that's not really my area, and I couldn't answer that question well. I wonder if Liam perhaps, working in virtual world spaces might have more of an answer, or someone else here, because I'm not, kind of working with the technical building side of things.
Okay, someone let us know about the prices. So how much does it cost? Liam, you have to jump in.
Had to find the mute button. It varies. The first thing I would say to somebody with who it costs is go start to prototype stuff yourself. If when you want to start to make things, I use tools like Gravity Sketch and Blockade Labs, and there's other great tools out there to do a lot of Mid-Journey, to do a lot of previs. And I very much like to take a bunch of Creative Commons 3D assets, which you can find all over the place, and put them together in kind of a toy box environment, and really, what they call gray box or white box my ideas out. Like drawing tools like like in VR spaces or even in 3D Learning Blender, and decide what you want, and then you can get things commissioned. And I think generative AI and other things are going to make things extremely cheap, like near free, like where you'll pay for a tool like Photoshop, and even Photoshop has AI right now to really help you get to the next level, and it'll be extremely, extremely cheap. I would say that like right in the last 4 or 5 years, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on worlds, on just a single world. Getting it commissioned and iterated from previs to from like concepting the previs to many, many drafts. And I'm seeing that number go down, like a zero knocking off of it almost every 6 to 9 months in the last few years. And so I think we're in a real change. This is the same way like you would in the 90s expect to pay thousands of dollars for a poster, and then you can get that on Fiverr for tens of dollars. I think it's going to be that type of step change very quickly.
Right. And it seems like every startup, or just about like a majority of companies now, looks like, they look like the company from the outside, but from inside they look like a variety of different SDKs and APIs bringing stuff from OpenAI, like you said, Locate Labs and others. But here I have a question for everyone. So and it's a very hot topic. So what do you think? AI, is it replacing the workforce, or it's opening the new opportunities? What do you think? Feel free.
Well, just to jump in for like a quick reaction, I'd say it's absolutely helping creators create better things more quickly, and also creating things that were perhaps unimaginable. Liam mentioned Midjourney, going in and using these AI tools that will help kind of lay people create amazing worlds, or help existing creators reach certain kind of thresholds that they never could have reached before. So just super quick answer would be not replacing people, but enhancing people's abilities.
I've been thinking three things are going to happen. One is I think there's going to be a massive legal snapback, like for where a lot of these things are going to lose in court in a really big way. That's going to snap back the industry years. But I think at the same time, people will just, with the creation, there'll be massive creation of content. We're already in that, like a huge content creation spike right now, all across all mediums. But I also see a content consumption spike, and like a quality and like a demand for quality we've never seen before, which is kind of keeping the human in the loop. This demand for quality and novelty. So like I think it's gonna be a crazy next few years, quite frankly.
And AI was, if I may just jump in, is that okay, Daniel?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And AI was never meant. The aim was never to replace people. It was to help them. I think for me, if anyone asks me in any of these conferences, it just makes me so much more productive. I get so much of my grunt stuff automated. Like I've written a script which has some of my emails taken it. I've created like a small custom model which kind of answers emails like me. Like I wake up in the morning, I have like 100 emails. So imagine the amount of time I save. Also helping organizations do similar things. It's more to make you more productive and to make you use some of those creative juices in your head to do something bigger and better.
I think in one line, people who are using AI would replace people who are not using AI, but AI itself would not replace human.
Okay. And because we've been speaking about the creativity, Lizzie, if I can, I would like to refer the next question to you, because you work with different creative industries. So how you see AI-powered virtual worlds influencing human creativity and innovation?
Well, all things will cease to be an argument as soon as we have the first major blockbuster movie in AI. Once these big studios really start to see what happens when someone creative gets at what AI can do and make a lot of money with it. Same thing happened with talkies when Hollywood was freaking out if these actors could have like a certain tone in their voice, or if they could sing or what have you, which sent shockwaves through Hollywood. This is kind of like the same thing. And until they were able to deal with that change in technology, everything kind of corrected itself. And that's what's happening with AI. Once Hollywood figures out how to use AI without stepping on union toes, without stepping on actors, and really enhance and lower a budget to a major motion picture, this conversation that's happening right here, is almost null and void. So wait till the big money jumps in, and we'll definitely see how AI worlds influence what happens with creativity.
Okay. Does anyone want to add?
I just wanted to, I think Lisi touched on it, and we already see Lionsgate and different studios making partnerships for AI content. And this seems to speak exactly to what Liam was saying about a snapback and regulation and sort of a, reaction to AI's, huge leap forward. So I definitely don't want to, stop us from talking about other subjects, but I am kind of curious about this kind of regulatory snapback that Liam mentioned. And if we have time for it, I'd be kind of curious for him to say a little bit more about that, because that seems pretty epic if it comes to pass.
I mean, it comes down to like these things are going to need like a nutrition facts on the back. Where were they trained? How are they trained? How are they weighted? How are they safeguarded? How are they benchmarked? There's nothing like that. The government's been talking about all this regulation, and they've been wanting to let Sam Altman and Microsoft write it, so only they can pass it. That's really been what a lot of the analysts have thought. But it really comes down to doing something that's really uncomfortable for people working with AI and people making it, which is volunteering up a bunch of information. I think so, like all I just listed, and trying to benchmark themselves against others. I've been on and off trying to build that. Everybody is like, how do I compare two LLMs on how accurate they are and how good they are in a certain field of questions? Nobody's agreed on even a basic common benchmark, and it's a huge problem. And that's like when we have all these crazy conversations about like it's going to kill humanity and destroy democracy and everything. I'm like, let's start with the benchmark, and then we can then once we have that, we can actually like draw sight lines on all the other concerns. The big one about the snapback is like, we brought up Midjourney. There's others that I could name stories of that are really kind of like pulling up their collars when somebody asks, where did you get that data? Or why does yours look better than everyone else's? And why does it make a perfect Batman and SpongeBob every single time? So it's going to be kind of crazy. Yeah.
So maybe like really big fines and slaps on the wrist, but yet that said, progress continues to march forward.
Or literally purging these things off the internet and scaring every company from ever using them for years, and the whole thing collapses like with crypto.
Wait, when did crypto collapse? I missed that.
I was just going to jump on that.
When did that happen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we can get there. And then it came back, right? So like, and so this is. Yeah, we'd speak for hours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I still have hope.
Yeah. Risks. So let's talk about the risks. So we've been speaking about the Hollywood. So what are the risks for the companies of using this AI in their professional activities? So Viola, would you like to lead this conversation?
Is that me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So what are the potential risks associated, right, in virtual environments? The number one that I've seen, and that when I work with different industries, I realize is a lot of fake images being created and like extrapolating a particular person's face, their aesthetics, etc. And then using them to do some dirty deeds, which kind of makes no sense. I remember that there was a company who came up to me that a person who looked a little angry, it was just their sitting face and it just looked angry. And then in a virtual environment, when they were extrapolating these images, they showed him like a demon, which made no sense. Like just because a person looked angry, so it doesn't mean you do that. Again, why did that happen? Because there was no governance on any of those steps. So number one being that you're extrapolating images. The second that I'm seeing in the risks that are being involved is I see a lot in younger generations. They're utilizing AI to create these avatars, to create like maybe thinner versions of them and trying to put like abs on it, etc., which is kind of creating a wrong mindset, because you have to we are losing a lot of body positivity deeds in it, because everyone feels I have an avatar, which looks like me but is not me. And I feel that is an issue going forward. If I see your avatar and not your real image, I don't know who you look like, which could create a problem, which can escalate into these dating apps and then goes above and beyond. So that is something that everyone wants to see. How true is it? And it's okay to do that, that's fine as well, but then the psychological and mental effects that come out of it are something that we need to look into.
You said about this fake things that sometimes people produce using the AI. So we've been heard about the Sora by OpenAI. So this promised perfect AI video creation tool. So again, it's an open mic. What do you think? So Sora jumps to the market. What happens next? A lot of fake, a lot of stuff. So what do you think? Let us know.
So as soon as it comes to the market, the first thing is it'll shoot up because everyone's going to go experiment with it. There are so many companies who have like majority of these companies have a budget and for experimenting stuff, for research stuff. No one knows if that stuff is actually going to help, but because you need to check that in your yearly KPI, everyone would try doing it and like implementing it. And I've seen companies like big institutions having like utilize some of these new technologies, and what happens is after a while it just goes bust because they didn't see what the data leakages were or what was the quality of information that was being produced. So first of all, even if it spikes up, we need to see how it is, what are the different problems that would happen. And the other thing that I feel is a lot of regulations, as Liam was saying, soon as it's up, all the different the AI police and regulation police is going to go around trying to figure out how to tame it.
Okay, Kuldeep, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So one thing I would like to add in the potential risk is like AI would create a lot of things like too much. We would reach in terms of content or the consumption side, we would reach in the stage of abundance where everything is too much. The content is there. There are so many books, there are so many articles, there is so much knowledge, and everything will be so cheap that value of the content itself will not be that great. So there would be a stage where the trust on everything will be so less. It's so cheap to be available to everyone in the world. A person sitting in a remote corner will have all the knowledge available, which is available to a professional person. So this will create a lot of issues eventually, in my opinion, where how really we define equity and what it means to be defining the people's creativity or their own personal IQs and all those things. It will be very difficult to define that in that world.
And we really appreciate.
To resonate what Kuldeep is saying, one of the things that have started seeing is when I review some conferences papers and etc. And sometimes on the panel, it's very hard to figure if a human wrote this or like a person wrote this. Imagine if it goes to AI powered VR. I don't know if what has been created is actually a human or not. The entire information that is being going now is to create these fake personas, like who is a human or who is not a human. Like it would be so difficult to differentiate between the two.
Okay. Everyone, you're amazing. So today we're having a very live conversation. We have about 5 minutes left. And now let's do the final thing. So each of you going to have about 20, 25 seconds. Just let everyone in the comments know, like say, so what do you think about the generative AI and the VR and the virtual worlds? Lizzie, that's your mic. 25 seconds is yours. Give us your predictions.
Listen, it's going to be a very exciting ride. And just like cinema did what it did 100 plus years ago, it's happening again. And we're going to discover a whole new world, a whole new way to tell stories. And it's truly an exciting time. At least it looks like it until somebody decides to unplug it, which is always an idea. You could always unplug people. It's just a freaking machine, but that's neither here nor there. But it's an exciting time, and it allows people to be creative, and anything that helps people tell stories brings us together. So there you have it.
Okay, noted. Okay, Claire, have you got any ideas? 25 seconds is yours.
Well, I also feel optimism the way Lisi clearly feels. So I'm excited about what's ahead of us. But as we've touched on in the conversation, I think it's always very important to stay grounded in, kind of the ethical, implications of this, but especially in what we're drawing from, kind of the body of data and kind of trained AI that we have. Something I thought of early was Tay, Microsoft's kind of bot that went within 24 hours from being a nice chat bot, I believe it was on Twitter, to being kind of like a horribly racist, sexist bot that needed to be removed immediately. So, that is in our past. It was 2016. We've grown a lot since then. But I think we need to sort of keep in mind these roots and these cautionary tales. And as we move forward, really pay attention to the data that's going into this and the AI that is being created and the governance of that, to make sure that we're moving forward in a productive, positive way.
Okay. Liam, I want to change this question a little bit in a different way. So Liam, if we give you $1 billion to create the AI, so it's your pitch, 25 seconds. Let us know where you're bringing us.
So, I like the first question more. I honestly think that we're in very early days of this. It's going to be rocky, but the best is yet to come by far. I think everyone will have extremely fluid access to infinite knowledge and infinite content, and be able to extend their creativity. Like what we're going to get to is a point of digital telekinesis and digital telepathy and all sorts of magical things if we just work together and make it turn out right. And it's going to be very hard, but it's going to be worth it. I truly do believe in spatial computing and AI companions, and all of it is coming, and it's going to be great. That's what gets me up in the morning, and so should you.
Okay. Vioma, so IBM is coming to you one of the next days, offering you an unlimited budget. So what do you create?
I wish. But one of the things that I would create is a framework, a policy mandate framework, because whatever clearly see, everyone is saying that it is the next big thing. Everyone should be optimistic. But the only way to be optimistic is to have some sort of guardrails around it so that you can pitch it more. So I would be 100% developing a well guarded, rounded framework which makes people empowered to use it.
Okay, cool, deal. So India, you have to say something. So government is coming to you, providing you with a grant, just unlimited amount of funds. So where we go? So what do you create?
Well, I will create a consortium of industry, academia, and businesses coming together and define the standards, practices, and policies. By the way, I'm already engaged with one of the academia in India, IIT Madras, defining metaverse standard and policies for India. So that's one of the initiative going, but this is needed more, where legal system and government and people come together, and then they define this virtual public systems. Because, yeah.
Okay. Hope this will happen. So we're running out of time. I want to thank everyone. You're so energetic, and I think we have a great band sitting here. I hope to repeat it. Let's stay in touch on the LinkedIn. Thanks for the GatherVerse for hosting this amazing event. All the presentations and materials were created by the GatherVerse team. They help us become prepared to this meeting. And again, I would love to continue this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Bye. Bye.